the junkyard discovery the sun was setting on planet Orban 3, a dusty place filled with broken ships and forgotten machines. In the middle of the junkyard, a man named Raylan Trask walked slowly between tall piles of metal. He was a scrapper, someone who found old parts and sold them to survive. Raylan wasn't looking for anything special, just some engine coils, maybe a fuel pump, something cheap. His own ship was falling apart. He needed to fix it fast or he'd be stuck on this rock forever. Old junk, he muttered, brushing dust off a control panel. Nothing but garbage. As he turned the corner near an old crashed freighter, something caught his eye. In the shadows, under a rusted tarp, sat a large crate. Unlike everything else, this crate looked sealed, intact, and strangely clean. There was no dust on it. Just a glowing red symbol, something alien. Raylan stepped closer. What the hell? Is this? He touched the side. The crate was cold. Too cold. Soft humming came from inside, like a sleeping machine, or something alive. Then it moved. Thump, thump. Raylan jumped back. The crate shook, just slightly. Then again, something was inside, and it was awake. He looked around. No one else was near. Just a few broken loaders and a lazy security drone floating far away. Raylan kneeled and checked the label. The writing was alien, not from any known trade language. But one word was scratched into the side, in human letters. Do not open. He laughed nervously. Yeah, sure. That always works. A voice called out behind him. Hey, you there? Raylan turned to see the junkyard owner, a fat man in a grease-stained jacket named Mondo. He waddled over, wiping his hands. What you doing back here? Mondo asked. Raylan pointed to the crate. This thing? What is it? Mondo looked at the crate and scowled. That, just scrap, has been sitting here for 5 years. No one touches it. It's humming, Raylan said. It's got power. Mondo scratched his head. Yeah, some old alien junk. Came in on a slaver ship. Got no key, no ID, and no one wants it. You want it? Take it. Raylan blinked. For free? Mondo nodded. Better it's off my land. Gives me the creeps. Raylan smiled. Free was good. Creepy was normal. He pulled out his hovercart and loaded the crate. Back at his ship, Raylan stared at the crate for a long time. He didn't know why. But something about it felt important. Dangerous, yes, but also sad. He got his tools, carefully broke the lock, and pressed a button on the panel. The crate hissed. Steam poured out. Then, light. Bright blue light. He stepped back as the crate opened. Inside was a girl. Or something like a girl. She had smooth silver blue skin, glowing eyes, and soft white hair falling over her shoulders. She was curled up, naked, asleep. No wires, no machines, just her. Raylan didn't breathe. Then her eyes opened. She looked straight at him and smiled. You came for me, she whispered. Raylan took a step back. What the hell are you? The girl stood up slowly, almost floating. She looked weak, but peaceful. She walked toward him, then dropped to her knees. I belong to you now, she said softly. Don't leave me. Raylan's brain froze. This was not a machine, not a robot. She felt real. He reached for his blaster. Stay back. But she didn't move. She only looked up at him with big, glowing eyes. I'm yours, she repeated. Forever. He lowered the weapon. What are you talking about? Are you a slave? She looked confused. I was created to bond, to serve, but not like others. I am different. Raylan's heart pounded. This was wrong. Very wrong. He reached for his cum. Maybe someone could help. Maybe she needed medical attention. Then the lights in the ship flickered. The girl turned her head. "They know I'm awake," she said. Raylan stared at her. Who knows?" She didn't answer. She touched her chest, where a glowing mark was now pulsing. "I chose you," she whispered. Then everything went dark. Who or what's she? The ship's lights were still out. Raylan stood frozen, staring at the silver-skinned girl. Only the soft glow from her chest mark lit the room. It pulsed like a heartbeat, slow and calm. He spoke first, his voice tight. "What did you mean?" "They know you're awake." The girl turned her glowing eyes to him. "I was tagged, tracked. They will come." Raylan grabbed a flashlight and scanned the room. Who? Slavers. Pirates. She stood slowly, bare feet making no sound. "The ones who made me. The ones who lost me." Raylan stepped back. "Okay, let's start over. Who are you?" The girl tilted her head. Her voice was soft and strange, like she was learning as she spoke. "My name is Zero. I was grown, engineered, for connection, for care." Connection. Raylan raised an eyebrow. "What are you? Some kind of a—" Zero blinked. "Not machine, not code. I feel, I think, I choose." Raylan wasn't sure what to believe. She looked human, almost, but her energy, her skin, her glow, none of it matched any known species. She was too perfect, too alien. He grabbed a blanket and tossed it to her. "Cover yourself. You're not in a lab anymore." Zero wrapped the blanket around her shoulders. She sat down slowly, like she hadn't moved in years. Raylan poured her a glass of water, then stopped. "Wait, do you even eat?" Zero took the glass with both hands, sniffed it, then sipped. "I remember this," she said with a small smile. "Water, it tastes safe." Raylan sat across from her, rubbing his eyes. This wasn't what he expected when he went shopping for scrap. He needed spare parts, not some glowing alien woman with a tracker in her chest. He leaned forward. "Listen, Zira, I'm not your master. I don't own you." Zira looked hurt. "But you opened the crate. You woke me." "That doesn't mean I bonded with you," she said softly. "It's what I was made to do." Raylan stood up and paced. "This is insane. You're telling me you're some kind of— what, pet?" "Slave." Zira shook her head. "I'm not a slave. I'm a companion. Crafted. I feel your presence. Now it's calm. I like it." Raylan stared at her. She was calm, peaceful, but something inside her was not normal. That glowing mark, that link she kept talking about, the way she looked at him like she already belonged. "You say you were made. Who made you?" Zira's smile faded. Her voice became quiet. "Humans. Long ago, in secret places. They mixed their blood with ancient code. They wanted perfect companions. But some of us were too strong. Too strong how?" She looked down. "We could think, feel, disobey. Some called us love slaves, but we were more. Some ran, some changed." Raylan sat again. "What about you? Did you run?" Zira nodded slowly. "I remembered dark cages, needles, orders I didn't understand. I tried to escape. They caught me. They locked me in that box, until you came." Raylan felt a cold weight in his chest. This wasn't just some pretty alien girl. This was a weapon, or worse, a secret someone wanted buried. Suddenly, the ship's console beeped. "Incoming signal. Unregistered scan detected." Raylan ran to the console. Damn it, someone's pinging the ship. No ID. Zero stood behind him. They found the tag. Raylan looked at her chest. "The mark?" She nodded. "It's a biobeacon. It wakes when I do. They are always listening." Raylan swore under his breath. I should have left that crate sealed. Zero walked closer, her eyes glowing brighter now. But you didn't. You opened it. That means something. No? That means I was stupid. And desperate. She touched his arm gently. Still, you chose. And now I'm yours. Raylan stared at her hand, unsure what to feel. She was strange. She was dangerous. But she was also lost. And now, because of her, he was being tracked. Fine, he said finally. We're leaving. They want you. They'll have to catch us first. Zira's face lit up. You're helping me. Helping you stay alive helps me stay alive, Raylan muttered. Don't make this weird. She smiled again. I won't. I will follow you. As Raylan powered up the ship's engines, Zero sat quietly near the co-pilot's seat. Her eyes glowed brighter with every second. She seemed stronger. Hey. Raylan said, noticing something. That glowing mark, it's fading. Zero looked at him. Yes. When I'm near you, the signal weakens. Raylan paused. So I'm what? Your signal blocker now? She nodded. And more. Raylan didn't ask what more meant. He didn't want to know. Not yet. But deep inside, a question burned in his mind. What if she wasn't the only one out there? Atij Raylan's ship. The rust bucket shot through the black sky, engines roaring like a beast in pain. Inside the cockpit, warning lights blinked red. The ship was fast, but not fast enough to outrun a signal. Raylan clenched the controls. Zira, status. Behind him, Zira stood barefoot and calm. Her silver-blue skin shimmered in the glow of the dashboard. They're scanning every system within 5 jumps. She said softly. They want me back. Raylan gritted his teeth. Yeah? Well, they'll have to fight for you. Zira tilted her head. Would you fight for me? Raylan didn't answer. He just pulled the ship into a sharp turn and dove into an asteroid field. 30 minutes earlier, everything had felt quiet. They had just left Orban 3's orbit, hoping to disappear into the trade lanes. But the moment they entered deep space, 3 strange signals had pinged the ship. No names, no codes, just silent shadows. Raylan knew that kind of silence. It meant hunters now, dodging through rocks the size of houses. He hoped to lose them, if only for a little while. Why don't you just hide the signal permanently? He asked, weaving through 2 spinning asteroids. Zira sat in the co-pilot seat, eyes closed. I can't. It's part of me. In my blood, my bones. Then cut it out. She opened her eyes. You'd cut me? Raylan glanced at her, then back at the screen. No, of course not. Silence filled the cockpit for a moment. I don't want to go back, she whispered. Raylan nodded. Then we run. They reached a small moon orbiting a gas giant. It was dark, uninhabited, a good place to hide. Raylan landed the ship near a dead crater. They powered everything down. No lights, no heat. Just silence. Inside the ship, Raylan checked the scanners. No signals. I think we lost them. Zira stood by the window, watching the stars. Raylan leaned back in his chair. You okay? She nodded slowly. They called us companions, but we were tools. Some were sold, others disappeared. I don't know what happened to them. Raylan raised an eyebrow. You think you were the only one? Zira hesitated. No, there were others. I remember faces. Voices, one of them. She screamed as they took her. Raylan felt a chill. Why would anyone make people like you? Mix emotion, biology, power, and then lock it in a box. Zira turned to him, because some people want control, and they fear what they cannot control. Later that night, Raylan stepped outside in his pressure suit, scanning the area. The crater was quiet. No ships. No drones. Still safe, but something didn't feel right. Then he saw it, a red dot blinking on the ground. He bent down and picked it up. A tracker. He swore under his breath and ran back inside. Zira, he shouted, bursting into the ship. They tagged us. That junkyard must have planted a tracker on the crate. Zira stood still. Her body glowed faintly. They're close, aren't they? Before Raylan could answer, a low hum filled the air. Then a thud. Something had landed on the moon. Raylan pulled up the scanner. Unmarked dropship. No beacon. Coming straight for us. Zira's eyes flashed. Slaver retrieval squad. Raylan grabbed his rifle. Great. What do they want? Capture? Kill. Zero looked down. They will sedate me. Wipe my memories. Reprogram me. He stared at her. That's what they do. Yes, again and again, until I forget who I am. Raylan's jaw tightened. Not this time. The dropship opened in the distance. 6 figures in black armor stepped out. They moved fast, trained, silent, deadly. Raylan set up his rifle. At the ship's entrance, they'll expect a fight. Let's give M1 Zira touched his arm. I can help. How? She closed her eyes, and suddenly, the air inside the ship felt heavy. Her body began to hum, faint waves of energy rolling off her skin. I can feel their minds, she said. They're angry, confident, but not afraid. Make them afraid. Raylan said the first attacker entered the ship's outer ramp. He didn't make it to the second step. His weapon flew from his hand, pulled by invisible force. Zero raised her arm and sent a shock of energy through the air. The man collapsed. Raylan blinked. Okay, that's new. Zira didn't speak. Her eyes were glowing bright now, pure white. More attackers came. Raylan fired, stunning 2 of them. Zero knocked the others back with waves of pressure. The battle ended in minutes. Only one was left. The leader? He stepped forward, holding a strange device. She belongs to us, he hissed. Raylan aimed his weapon. Not anymore. But the leader pressed the device and Zira screamed. She fell to the ground, clutching her head. Raylan shot the device. Sparks flew. Zira gasped, her body shaking. Then she stood, slowly. The mark on her chest was gone. The leader froze. That's not possible. Zira's voice was cold. You should have left me in the box. She raised both hands, and the man dropped to his knees, screaming, his mind breaking. Raylan grabbed her shoulder. That's enough. She stopped. The man collapsed. Raylan looked at her, breathing hard. You okay? Zira nodded, eyes soft again. I remembered who I am. Raylan stared at the sky, watching the enemy dropship burn. We're not safe, he said. They'll send more. Zero stood beside him. Then we run. Together. He looked at her. Yeah, together. But in the back of his mind, he knew the truth. She was no ordinary creation. And this was just the beginning. The Bond 3. Days had passed since the ambush on the moon. Raylan's ship drifted quietly in the shadow of a broken asteroid belt. No lights, no signals. Just silence and cold metal. But inside the ship, something was changing. Zero was healing. She sat cross-legged in the engine room, surrounded by tools, wires, and soft humming light. Her eyes were closed, her breathing slow. Her skin no longer glowed. It shimmered now, faintly pulsing with strange symbols across her arms. Raylan watched her from the doorway. He didn't say anything. He hadn't said much since the fight. Zira had saved his life. Again? But what scared him wasn't the power she used. It was how easy it looked. Earlier that morning, Raylan had checked the comm system. Still silent. No new pings, no bounty alerts. That was a good sign, or a bad one. He couldn't tell anymore. He made 2 mugs of synth tea and walked into the engine room. Here, he said, handing one to Zira. She opened her eyes and smiled. Gently, thank you. Raylan sat across from her on a crate. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, he asked, "What happened to the mark on your chest?" "That beacon." Zero looked down. "It burned out when I fought the commander. Permanently." She nodded. "Yes." He triggered a memory, a pain I had forgotten, and it broke the link. Raylan sipped his tea. "So you're free now?" Zero met his eyes. "I don't know. I still feel connected to you." Raylan looked away. "That's just because I opened the crate." "No," she said gently. "It's deeper now." Later, Raylan started repairing the hull. The ship had taken damage. During the escape, Zira floated silently nearby, watching him. He handed her a plasma tool. "You ever fix anything before?" She looked at the tool curiously. "No, but I can learn." Raylan smiled. "Well, you're about to get a crash course in welding." As they worked together, something began to change. Zero laughed for the first time, a real laugh, soft and musical. Raylan, despite himself, smiled too. She wasn't just some living machine. She was learning, growing, becoming. Real. That night, as stars passed silently by the window, Zero sat by Raylan's bunk. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Sure." "Why?" "Didn't you leave me in the crate? You didn't have to open it." Raylan thought for a moment. "I don't know. Maybe I was curious. Maybe stupid." Zero tilted her head. "But you protected me. You fought for me." He shrugged. "Someone had to." "No," she whispered. "No one ever did before." There was silence again, not cold or tense, but gentle, comfortable. Then Zero touched his hand. Not romantic, not possessive, just trust. "Do you feel it too?" she asked. Raylan didn't move, but his voice was softer now. "I think I do." The next day, they reached a small mining colony on a drifting rock known as Delta 7. It was old, half abandoned, but still had fuel, supplies, and something. Raylan needed a medic. Or more specifically, a bio-dash scanner. They landed quietly, no questions asked. The colony didn't care who you were as long as you had credits. Inside a rusty lab, an old human doctor scanned Zero with trembling hands. This is not possible," he whispered, staring at the screen. "What?" Raylan asked. The doctor looked up. "She's not fully human, not fully alien either. There's tech in her cells, biocode, living data." Zero said nothing. The doctor pointed at the display. "Oh, she was built to adapt, to merge with other minds. Oh, she can read thoughts, share emotions, even transfer pain." Raylan blinked. "She can feel what I feel." Zero nodded quietly. The doctor leaned back. "I've seen black market companions before, but this one, she's a prototype. She's something else." Raylan felt his stomach twist, and people would kill to own her. "Yes," the doctor said, "or worse, to copy her." As they left the lab, Raylan's thoughts were racing. Zero walked beside him, silent. "You okay?" he asked. "I didn't know I was made like this," she said softly. "I always thought I was just broken." Raylan stopped. "If you're not broken." Zero looked up. "Then what am I?" Raylan sighed. "You're a person. A strange, glowing, mind-reading person. But a person." Zero smiled. It was small, but real. That night, they sat on a ridge above the colony. Looking at the stars, Zero rested her head lightly on Raylan's shoulder. "I used to watch the stars from inside. A cage. I dreamed of flying among them." Raylan stared up at the sky. "You're free now. No more cages." "But freedom is strange," she whispered. "It's heavy. Lonely Raylan turned to her. Not anymore. They sat in silence, stars moving slowly above them. And for the first time in her life, Zero didn't feel like property, or a tool, or a weapon. She felt like someone. She felt human. The truth about Zeroth's ship was quiet again. Raylan sat alone in the cockpit, staring at the stars. Outside, the colony of Delta 7 had disappeared into the void. They were in deep space now. No planets, no stations, just black silence and cold light. Behind him, Zero stood near the engine room door. She didn't speak. She hadn't said much since they left the colony. She was thinking. She had remembered something, and it scared her. Earlier that day, after the bioscan, she had touched a strange piece of tech in the colony's lab. It was a data chip from an old research ship, long abandoned. The moment her fingers touched it, she saw flashes memories that weren't hers. Metal walls, white lights screaming, wires, hands and gloves reaching toward her, a voice speaking. In cold human language, Project Seraph 01, emotional override, failing. Increased neural suppression. Zero had fallen to the ground, RAYLA, and caught her before she hit the floor. Now, hours later, she was still shaking inside. Raylan turned as she walked into the cockpit. "You all right?" he asked. Zero nodded slowly. "I remembered. Things." "What kind of things?" She sat in the co-pilot seat, hugging her knees. "The lab, where I was made. The other ones, like me. We weren't called companions in the beginning." Raylan leaned forward. "What were you called?" She looked at him, her voice low. "Weapons." Raylan didn't blink. "They gave us emotions to test control," Zira continued. "They wanted perfect warriors, loyal, loving, deadly. They thought if we could bond, we'd obey." Raylan frowned. "So the companion thing was a disguise." Zira nodded. "We're prototypes, bioweapons with empathy layers. Some of us bonded too strongly, refused to fight. Others went mad. I was considered unstable." Raylan let out a breath. "That explains the mark, the tracking, the power." Zero stared at her hands. "They put me in cryolock after I disobeyed. I was supposed to be reprogrammed, but the transport ship crashed, and I was forgotten." Raylan stood and paced. "So what do they want now? To fix you?" Zira shook her head. "No. They want my design, my code. I'm the last working unit of Project Seraph." He turned to her. "Then they won't stop hunting you." She didn't answer. Instead, she asked softly, "Do you think I'm real?" Raylan paused. "What do you mean?" "I was built," she said, "not born. Memories are half mine, half programmed. My feelings, are they even real, or just a trick to keep me obedient?" Raylan crouched in front of her. "Zero," he said gently. "You feel scared, angry, confused? You made your own choices, disobeyed your creators. You saved me. Not because someone told you, but because you wanted to." He touched her hand. "That sounds real to me." Her eyes shimmered, not glowing, just wet. "Thank you," she whispered. That night, Raylan sat in the cargo bay, checking the fuel cells. Zero walked in, holding the old data chip from the colony lab. "I want to try something," she said. "What is it?" "I think I can access the chip with my mind. It might tell us where the others like me were taken." Raylan hesitated. "You sure that's safe?" "No," she said. But I need to know." She sat down, placed the chip on her palm, and closed her eyes. A faint hum filled the room. Her body lit up, not bright, but calm. Soft pulses of light moved through her veins like threads of silver. Then she spoke. Her voice was not her own. "Project Seraph. Archive Entry 14. Subjects 01207 were bonded to military handlers. 4 died. 2 turned hostile. 1 disappeared. Raylan leaned forward. 1 disappeared. You. 0 continued. Subject 01. 0. Neural empathy too high. She refused. Combat declared unstable. Scheduled for reset. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. She gasped, breathing hard. I saw their location, she said. A black site. Hidden base. Name. Facility Echo 9. Raylan looked at her. Is that where? They're keeping the others. 0 nodded. Yes, still alive. Still locked. Raylan stood. Then we go there. 0 looked at him in surprise. You'd risk that? For me. For you, Raylan said. And for them? They deserve the same chance you got. 0 stared at him for a long moment. Then she smiled, truly, deeply. You're different, she said. Most people run from danger. You walk into it. He smirked. Nah, I usually run. Just not from you. As the ship powered up again, 0 stood by the control panel. Her mark was gone. Her chains were broken. And now she had something new. A purpose. She was not just a creation. She was not just a tool. She was someone. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Last, stand the stars above Facility Echo 9 did not shine. The hidden station floated in the shadows of a dying star, its outer walls black as coal, invisible to most scanners. It wasn't on any map. It wasn't meant to exist, but Raylan Trask had found it. And he wasn't knocking. Raylan stood in the airlock of his ship, wearing dark armor, his blaster strapped tight to his chest. Next to him stood 0, calm and glowing softly, her eyes locked on the massive structure ahead. This is it, he said, voice steady. You sure the others are in there? 0 nodded. Yes, I can feel them sleeping, like I used to. Raylan looked at her. You don't have to go in. 0 looked back, firm. Yes, I do. They approached under cloak, using a stealth drone from a black market contact on Delta 7. Facility Echo 9 didn't allow ships to dock. It took them. So Raylan and 0 didn't knock on the door. They came through the maintenance shaft. It was tight, dark, and filled with the smell of oil and heat. But 0 led the way, silent and sure. She moved like she'd been here before, and maybe she had. Inside the station, lights flickered faintly. Cameras scanned empty halls. Drones floated like ghosts. And deep beneath it all, in the lowest levels, rows of cryopods lined the walls, each holding a living weapon like 0. Forgotten, controlled, frozen in time. Raylan and 0 slipped through the corridors. 0 blocked sensors with her mind. Raylan took down guards with stun rounds. Clean, quiet. But time was running out. A soft alarm began to buzz. They know, Kalen whispered. Zira closed her eyes. Yes, but I am not afraid. They reached the cryo chamber. 0 stepped forward, her hand pressed to the glass. Her face changed. I know them, she said. Their names, their pain. She touched the console. Raylan watched in silence as the lights on the pods changed from red to green. Slowly. Hissing filled the room, the sound of systems unlocking. Then a voice echoed from the walls. Unauthorized access detected. Lockdown initiated. Raylan spun around. Here we go. Steel doors slammed shut. Armed guards poured in. Led by a tall figure in gray armor, a man with sharp eyes and a cold face. 0, he said, stepping forward. You came back. How generous. 0 narrowed her eyes. Dr. Kellen Raylan raised his blaster. I'm guessing you're the guy in charge of ruining lives. Kellen smiled. I created her. I own her. 0 stepped in front of Raylan. You created a mistake. one that won't obey. The other pods began to open. One by one, more silver-skinned figures stepped out, weak, confused, blinking in the harsh lights. Kellen frowned. "You shouldn't have done that." He raised a controller, a device Raylan recognized from the attack on the moon. Raylan shouted, "Zira, move." But the device lit up, and Zira screamed. She fell to her knees. Inside her mind, everything. Burned old commands. Pain loops. Obedience triggers. She heard voices shouting. Raylan's voice. The others waking. Cryo alarms. Blasters. But she also heard something else. Herself. A voice deep inside. You are not theirs. You never were. Zira opened. Her eyes, they were pure white. The device in Kellen's hand exploded. He screamed as electricity surged through him. The guards froze. Zira stood. Her body glowed like fire. Not with pain, but with power. "You bound us with fear," she said. "You buried us in ice. But you forgot one thing." She reached out her hand. "We can feel each other now." Behind her, the other awakened subjects raised their heads, their eyes glowing too. Together, they stepped forward. The guards ran. Blasters flew from their hands. Walls bent. Walls melted. Raylan pulled Zira toward the exit. "This place is coming." Apart. Zira looked at the others. "You're free now. Choose your path." They nodded and disappeared into the smoke, taking different routes. Finding their own freedom. Raylan and Zira made it to the maintenance shaft. Explosions echoed behind them by the time they reached their ship. The outer wall of Echo 9 had cracked open from the sky. It looked like the station was bleeding light. Raylan punched the thrusters. "Hold on," he said. "This might get rough." Zira smiled. "I'm used to rough." They escaped the gravity pull just as the station broke apart. One glowing piece at a time. Raylan looked back at the ruins. "You did it," he said. "You set them free." Zira watched the stars. "We did it." He looked at her, truly looked at her. "You're not a weapon, Zira." She turned to him. "I know," she whispered. "I'm something else now." Raylan smiled. "So? What now?" Zira leaned back in her seat, eyes soft. "Now, we stop running." But far away, deep in the corporate halls of a silent megastructure, a new voice watched the explosion feed from Echo-9. A soft whisper echoed in the shadows. "Project Seraph survived. Begin retrieval protocol. And send the hunter."